Today I'm going to show you how I use gelatin to clear my beer. I had a viewer suggest that I do a video on that, and I thought it was a good idea, so I will give you the way that I do it. I'm sure there are other ways, but this is the way that I've read about several times on the internet to do it. You could also use things like polyclar, clear, fine, or isinglass to help clear beer after it's done fermenting. I've not used any of those products, but there are other options. And this type of stuff is different than the things that you use on brew day, such as Whirlflock or Irish moss. Those things you use in the brew kettle to help coagulate proteins and help them settle out. I'm not talking about that either. So let's take a look at how I use gelatin to get nice and clear beer. First thing you gotta do is get a cup of cool water. So let's do it. The first thing we're gonna do is add 1 teaspoon of gelatin to 1 cup of cool water. So, 60 degrees, 70 degrees, something like that. You just dump it in on the top and you do not stir right now. But what we're doing is this is when we're going to let it bloom. And I'm going to start my timer and we'll just sort of keep an eye on it and see what it looks like in a little bit of time. It's been about 10 minutes. I don't know if you can really see this. I think it's starting to do something, but I think I'm going to let it go a little bit longer. Kind of hard to get a good shot of this, but yeah, I think it's not quite totally blooming yet, so we're going to keep letting it roll here, and I'll try to get a better shot when it gets to the point where you want to move to the next step. Alright, it's been about 25 minutes. It's really about the same as it was, I guess. I've read it takes 20 to 30 minutes. I believe you could say that this is blooming. Basically, it's kind of clumping and it's kind of expanding, and it doesn't really look like the fine powder when you first put it in there. It's kind of a judgment thing, but basically you just let it sit in this cool water for 20 to 30 minutes, and then I think you're ready for the next step. The next step then is to heat it in short bursts until it is clear. So as you can see, it is definitely not clear now. So what we do is I pop it in the microwave for short bursts. You don't have to get it to be, certainly you don't have to be boiling it. And I'll see what temperature it ends up to be, but I just sort of heat it, stir, maybe 15 seconds at a time, and then until it gets clear, and I'll show you that. Okay, here's the update. I did 5 different 15-second shots in the microwave, stirred it each time. The temperature, I took the temperature, it happens to be about 125 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's usually about the temperature that I find that it gets clear. So before you saw all the gelatin that was sort of suspended in there and blooming, and now it's clear, so now it's time to add it to the keg. Quick word about the water that I used. I did not boil it ahead of time and cool it down. Some guys do that, but I don't believe it's necessary. You have a whole keg of beer that has alcohol in it. The tap water, I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, thing about gelatin is it works best if you add it to beer that is already cold. So, I kegged this beer yesterday, and I've had the keg in the fridge overnight. If you have a really cold room and you have beer sitting in there, that'll work. You can add, if you are bottling all of your beer, you could add the gelatin in the secondary or at the end of the primary if you go straight to the bottling bucket. Let it sit after you've added the gelatin for a few days, and then bottle from there. But kegging, all you do, you don't have to cool this down from the 120 degrees because you've got a whole keg of 40 degree, 45 degree beer. I just pour it in. I don't worry about oxidizing here. I mean, it's very minimal. If you really wanted to, you could siphon it in or pour it very gently, but that's about it. You pour it in. Now what I will do is hook up the CO2 and get this pressurized. Back to what I was saying about the beer being cold. That doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. That's just the way that it works best. And like I said, I prefer to add to the keg. Stuff will settle out to the bottom. The first glass or so will be removing that stuff that has settled out, and the beer will end up to be nice and clear. Alright, let's get the CO2 hooked up here and purge it. I turn my pressure. So I've not hooked this up yet until right now. Alright, I've already purged it a little bit. I'm kind of curious if you guys want to comment, how many times do you pull the burp valve? How much do you purge it? I've never really known. I do it like 10 of these burps, I guess. Let me check my PSI. Ooh, I want to turn it up. I like to turn it up to 30 on this initial day here. Alright, I got it up to 30. Now, one thing you don't have to do, I don't think, door might be in the way here, is shake it. I normally don't shake it when I am adding the gelatin, but I read reports that some guys like to, so it's up to you. I find that it works without shaking it. I'm not really sure how it gets through all of the beer, but today I decided to shake it. So that is about it for that. Here's a quick wrap up. The beer that I used the gelatin is at the right. Another one that I did not use gelatin for, but it just has been sitting around a long time, is on the left. That is a steam beer on the left, and the Helles is on the right. The Helles is clear. Here's a coaster, you know, shown right through it. It's nice and clear. It does perhaps could stand a little bit more time to get even clearer. As I said, some other place, time will clear, you know, any beer. You know, maybe that one looks a little clearer. That one's been in the keg for a couple months, and this has only been maybe like a week since the gelatin. So it is clear, it does work, and hopefully you guys are gonna give it a try if you're interested in that approach. It's not too tough, as you've seen from the video, and now I have a couple little samples to enjoy. Cheers.